Welcome to the Restoration Room, a space designed for rebuilding, for healing, and finding your way back to wholeness. Here, we get real about mental health, spiritual recovery, and the wounds left behind by life, toxic church culture, or personal brokenness.
Welcome back to the Restoration Room, where healing is honored, where truth is spoken gently, and where we don't rush what God is trying to do in our restoration process. This week, we're entering into a tough space, a space that we often struggle with. It is the F word, forgiveness. And not that polished forgiveness, not that churchy forgiveness, or even that just get over it kind of forgiveness. And certainly not the one where your parents be like, hey, you want to go to your favorite restaurant? Not that forgiveness either. I'm talking about the kind where the wound was real. The betrayal cut you mad deep and you can't even fake the funk anymore. This really happened. Like, how are we going to skip over this? That kind of forgiveness. So today we're learning about how to forgive without erasing the truth of what happened. Because forgiveness, it doesn't just mean denial. It doesn't mean that you get to reconcile immediately. And it certainly doesn't mean that you have to put yourself back in harm's way again. So today we're getting honest. We're going to have an honest conversation about what boundaries are. Boundaries versus bitterness is what I really want to kind of dig into a little bit, and how they both can exist in the same healing journey. I also want to try to touch just a bit of Joseph's story from Genesis chapter 50 and verse 20. Y'all know he was sold into slavery by his own brothers. But when it came down time for him to show himself strong, he was able to stand up and say to them the thing that we all say the most: you meant it for evil, but God used it for my good. And I'm talking, that's real restoration. Ugh, it gives me chills thinking about it. So today, before we close, we're also going to go through a guided prayer and maybe even do a journal. We'll see how it works out. But we got to let this stuff go, and we have to forgive. So let's step into the restoration room. You already know what time it is. Breathe in, breathe out, lean in, and let's have an honest conversation about forgiveness. This is the restoration room. Come in broken and leave rebuilt. It's time to get to work.
So take a seat, take a breath and lean in, because restoration starts right here in the restoration room. Starts right here in the restoration room.
What up, fam? Welcome back to the Restoration Room. I'm so excited. Today we are at episode 7, and my goodness, this has been such a journey. We're here to talk about the F word. Oh, forgiveness. Oh my goodness. Listen, forgiveness is really intricate. I'll say that. It's an intricate kind of a topic. I don't know where to even begin, to be honest. I've tried full transparency. I think that I've recorded this podcast about 2 or 3 times at this point just to kind of get it started. And each time I kind of felt like that's not it. That's not it. But I think I want to hit it from this point. One point in time, the Lord dealt with me about forgiveness, and really dealing with how to forgive at a young age, what it really meant. I didn't really have a chance to really experience, I think, in my opinion, real and true forgiveness until I was an adult, until I was about 21 years old. But at first, I was probably about maybe 15 or 16 when the Lord started to really deal with me about forgiveness and what it really looks like. And at that point, it was a type of forgiveness where I had closure, where I was able to actually um, get an apology because of what someone had done to me, someone had did to me. Um, and I was able to really deal with how things made me feel, how their actions made me feel. And I think the first step to this podcast, or this episode rather, is going to be being able to identify what forgiveness really is. Um, for me, in my opinion, forgiveness is being able to let go of a situation, begin to heal, even if you do not get an apology. Oftentimes, from my perspective, forgiveness has been one sided. And I think this year I've been really struggling with that because a lot of people, in my opinion, folks that are close to me, have been doing me dirty this year. And I have been getting no closure to it. Forgiveness is not you allowing yourself to say that something is okay and enable it. That's beautiful. It's not something, it's not enabling a person to do something over again. It is being able to understand that someone did something that had consequences in your life. Being able to say, to resolve whatever that issue is and be able to move on. But it is not allowing that person to continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. What causes you to have to forgive is someone has made a grievance against you. Someone has hurt you. Someone has betrayed you. Someone has done something to you that really just didn't feel good. It starts there. It starts with feeling maybe even offended. It starts with someone betraying your trust, and it puts you in a space where you are really hurting, you're really angry, and you just want a person to acknowledge what they did. But the truth is sometimes they're not going to. But just because they don't acknowledge what they did, it does not mean that you have to allow them to continue to do it. This year, I've had to sever some relationships. I've had to love from a distance. And I've had to really set some boundaries up for myself that were there to protect me. Small plug, if you have never read the Christian book called Boundaries, there's like a bunch of different versions of it out there. I think that it will really change your life around about how you let people deal with you. Read it. Get one of them. They're all e-versions and all that. They have a lot of different versions out there. They have hardback, they have softback, they have electronic versions. Get it. All of them. I'm telling you, it'll change your life. But understanding that just because you've forgiven someone, you have to tell them how you want to be handled. And how you feel is very valid. It's very much valid. It is very much a point where you can very easily say, I did not like when you did that. I didn't like how that particular thing that you did made me feel. And it is perfectly okay. You hear what I'm saying? It's perfectly okay. Now, they don't have to receive what you have to say. They don't have to apologize for the things that you've said or for the things that they've done because of what you said. It would be nice, but it's not going to happen. But forgiveness is not you sweeping it under the rug. Forgiveness is not, uh, we had this, I think in culture for or Black culture, forgiveness or asking for forgiveness or even apologizing had a lot to do with, oh, let me make your favorite meal, or let me take you out to your favorite restaurant to go eat. That's not an apology. I'll tell you, I like to eat, so I'm gonna go with you, but that's not an apology. You need to acknowledge what you've done. So uh we have this really contorted idea of what forgiveness is supposed to look like, what it is supposed to sound like, what apologies, rather, I'm sorry, what apology is supposed to sound like. And we think that just saying sorry is going to fix an issue. In my big age, I have learned that sorry does not cut it anymore. Because the truth is sorry is just the word sorry. I'm sorry. And someone actually told me once before, don't say I'm sorry, say I apologize. Because if you say I'm sorry, it means you are sorry, like you're a sorry person. So I've learned not to even say that anymore. I just say I apologize. But I'm moving on. um, Apologizing and saying that you're sorry for something has a lot more to do with changed behavior, acknowledging what you've done, and being able to move forward while proving that you are apologetic for what it is that has happened. Hear this. Repentance means ultimately means to turn away from, means to stop doing what it is that you're doing. So when we tell God that we are sorry and we want to really repent, um, it really means that you have to stop doing the thing that made you sorry. You have to stop doing the thing that hurt his heart. You have to stop doing the thing that made him offended because you don't want to do it again. And my heart is so broken that I broke your heart that I just do not want to do this again. And that's genuine apology. Being able to acknowledge what you've done. I can't tell you how many times that I've had to just go silent with people until an apology came. Um, and it's crazy. They try to make it my fault. Oh, well, I haven't spoken to you in forever. Well, my phone works both ways. Oh, well, you didn't tell me that. How did you not know that you did what you did? And sometimes people, they really don't. I'm just a stubborn person sometimes, and I'll be like, I'm just not going to say anything until you. And that's not always the best way to do it. But sometimes I just need a moment. I don't want to talk to you. You don't need to talk to me because if you talk to me, you're not going to get the forgiving, saved side of me. You're probably going to get the angry, raunchy side. So stay away from me for now. um, but forgiveness on our side is not being able to hold something against the person again and saying like, oh, you did that and I'll never forget it. No, we forgive. I ain't gonna forget it. I'm still watching you with one eye because I have boundaries. I remember what something made me feel. But true forgiveness, I think, comes from a healed place. Jesus taught us that we need to forgive in order to be forgiven. And some of us say that we forgive, but we don't really let go. So real forgiveness is about letting go. It's about really being able to process, to heal, and to release. Process, heal, and release. Forgiveness is not one step. Smaller things, yeah, probably is. Quick acknowledgement, apology, changed behavior, and keep moving, right? But Forgiveness from a space of real hurt, it means that I am healing. I'm acknowledging that you've hurt me. I'm processing what happened. I'm taking the time to heal. But as I'm healing, I'm releasing it. And if we really want to be Christians, if we really want to be God fearing people, um, and we want to be like Him, we have to understand that when He forgives us, He does not hold it against us. Eh, that's the really hard thing, right? That's a real hard thing. He doesn't hold it against us anymore. Like, I'm not going to forgive you and say, well, you know what you did 3 months ago, and you did now. There is a point where he's like, all right, now enough is enough. You keep saying you're sorry. When are you going to have changed behavior, right? Scripture shows us that. But human forgiveness is it's a complex, like it's a complex situation because we have to process, we have emotions, we have to heal from the hurt, and then we have to figure out how to release once we're healed. Now be clear, releasing something does not mean that you forget about it or that you're going to allow it to happen again. A part of the healing process that I've taken on, part of my healing journey has been to put boundaries in place. Understanding that having a boundary does not mean that I am bitter. It means that I am protecting myself and I will not allow you or anybody else to do this to me again. So I had some friends, um, and this is a little hard to talk about because I'm still living it. I had some friends that were super close to me. They probably know more about me, my history, my life, my mistakes, my proclivities. They know so many things about me. Um, and they crossed the line. And when they crossed the line, I put my foot down. And I'm like, you're not gonna keep doing this. Like enough is enough. Like stop. I've allowed you to do this before. Um, we've either talked it out or you just came back and we swept it under the rug and we acted like it never happened and we just kept moving on. Um, but now I'm like, yeah, no, that's not happening. I'm not allowing that to happen again. So I had to put my foot down and I put boundaries in place. The boundaries that I put in place, unfortunately, tore our friendship apart because they no longer have access to me. And them not having access to me the way that they once did, it changes the dynamics of things. It changes how they feel about me. It changes the space that I'm allowing them to come into, and it changes how they um they operate with me because I'm not going to allow you to continue to get close to me and hurt me. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean that you have the license to do it again. Just because I have decided to reconcile with you does not mean that you can do it again. Doing it over and over and at some point I have to learn a lesson. You know what they say, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you, or was it shame on you, shame on me? Then yeah, whatever, however it worked. We all ashamed. Like it can't, you can't continue to allow people to do the same thing. So being bitter means that I'm holding on to it. I'm never letting this go. And every time this issue comes up, I used to have an ex, and every time I smelled my ex's scent, I went into like this crazy headspace because I smelled, and that scent triggered memories, and those memories triggered hurt, and that hurt triggered anger, and that anger triggered emotion, and it was like this whole process of just things after thing after thing after thing after thing. And now my whole night's ruined because I'm upset because of a scent. Yeah. That's bitterness. That is you holding on. But once I got a chance to really process what happened, I got a chance to heal, I had a chance to release. That way, when that scent comes again, whether it triggers a memory or not, I'm not affected by it. Sometimes we say that we're healed from stuff, we've processed stuff, and we've released stuff, but then we say that that same issue is a trigger for someone else. Oh, well, when you did this, it triggered me. That means you have not released. That means you have not forgiven. That means you have not processed. That means you are still healing, and you have not completed the process. Healing is a process. Do you understand that? Healing is not something that just happens overnight. That's miracle. Miracle is instantaneous. That wasn't a loud snap. I could have did that better. Yeah, sorry, y'all. Healing is not a, it's not, it's healing is a process. It actually takes time. And this is what we've been talking about, rebuilding what life's tried to ruin. It's a process. It's not something that you can just go out there and say, oh man, I got hurt last night and I'm healed today. Think about it, right? If you got cut, if you have a cut, depending on how bad the cut is, you need stitches. Stitches take time to heal. There's a process. You got to go in there. You have to sterilize. You got to get the needle. You got to get the thread. They got to bind your stuff together. And even depending on the kind of stitches that you get, either they dissolve on their own and you never have to get them out, or you have to go and you have to get them actually taken out. So you have all of these different, there's a different process, but in the process of the stitches pulling your wound back together again, there's a lot that goes on to that. There are other issues where you have and even then, right, it leaves a scar. It leaves a whole scar. If you had a surgery and you didn't get left and you're not left with a scar, you probably had a really good surgeon. I had one surgery and got 3 scars from that one surgery. That's a story for another day. But like, it's a process. During the time that the stitches are holding your wounds in place, your body is going through a process of healing, of refurbishing, of replacing the blood, replacing the muscle, replacing the skin, growing new skin. It's a process. But then when you have a cut, like just a major, maybe like a fleshly kind of cut, we used to get them all the time when we're outside in these streets, riding on our bikes and everything like that, fall, scrape your knee, get up, keep moving kind of thing, right? You got a scab. And the scab is a part of the healing process. It's not something that happened overnight. Just because the scab is there doesn't mean that you're healed. There's still something going on under that scab. And if you pick the scab too early, your skin is not covered and it has to rescab. Like, it's a whole process. This is what healing looks like. So forgiveness is not going to be something that's going to happen for any of us overnight. There are so many of us that are not just hurting because of what things that have been done to us in church, but there have been things that have been done to us in life. Some of our parents, abusive, physically, mentally, emotionally. Some of it is passed down behavior. That's another conversation for another day. Some of it is learned behavior. Some of it is us taking out anger because we've been triggered. Some of it is, and we have to realize that all of our actions have consequences, and those consequences we may not feel or see those consequences directly, but others are impacted by the things that we have to do, and everyone has to go through that process because of something we've done. Process, heal, and release. Sometimes forgiveness is one-sided. You will never get an apology for the things that have been done to you, and you have to be okay with processing the problem, healing from the issue, and releasing it, because you're probably never going to get an apology from it. Joseph, in the Bible, Joseph's story, his brothers, they sold him into slavery. because they hated him, sold him into slavery. And if you know Joseph's story, he went through a whole lot of stuff. He ended up becoming the ruler of a ruler in Egypt, and his brothers ended up coming to him for help, not knowing that he was who he was. And Joseph said one thing in Genesis 50 and 20, which is a lot of our favorite scriptures. What you meant for evil, God turned around and made it for my good. That's our favorite thing. Um, but sometimes people don't mean things for evil. They actually think that they're doing something for your good. I just had this conversation with a friend, and I said, a lot of our parents were abusive, and they didn't realize it. They were just processing, they were just going through, and they did the best that they could with what they had. And a lot of us turned out all right. But just because we turned out all right does not mean it was the right thing to do. There's still consequences. The consequence of abuse may be that, you turn out to be a great kid. You turn out to be a kid that did well in school and didn't have any issues, but the consequence of that abuse could be you have social anxiety. You suffer from depression. You have PTSD. Anytime somebody even looks at you like they're about to raise their hand at you, you flinch and go into a bad space. You start drinking. You cope wrong. You turn to drugs and alcohol because you can't seem to cope properly with things that have been going on. And because you turned out okay, and this was a part of, life and a part of your rearing and a part of your upbringing, that it's okay. I'm good. I turned out okay, and my parents weren't the best. No, they're not. They're not the best. They did what they could. And I don't think that, I think that my parents were a little rough with me at times. I think that they did the best that they could. But again, just because they did the best that they could doesn't mean that it was the right thing to do. I love my parents dearly, but there are some things that I endured as a child, as far as like correction, that I probably never do to my kids. But then there's some things that I endured that I'm like, yeah, I deserve that. But even that's a problem sometimes. Like, where do our mental state sometimes says, I did wrong, therefore I deserve abuse. I did wrong, therefore I deserve this kind of difficult correction. Like, these are all things that we have to process, we have to release. These are all toxic things that we have to release. And in the church, we have, oh God, in the Black church specifically, again, I can only speak from the culture that I grew up in. We've made people stand up. Do you know how abusive that is? Stand up and apologize for your sin that you did privately. It was private sin. And I got caught in my private sin, and now I got to stand up and apologize. That's craziness. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And I feel so bad for people that have had to endure it. Uh, Thankfully, I never had to endure it, but I've seen people have to do it, and it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable being the one receiving the apology, and I didn't even know nothing happened. It's crazy. We took on so many different things that was supposed to be correction, but it turned out to be abuse. And we have to process, we have to heal, and we have to release. We cannot continue to move in this light that forgiveness means that I'm just going to let you beat up on me again. Forgiveness is a process. It's a healing process. It requires us to dig deep. It requires us to monitor how we handle people. It requires us to monitor how we react to things. because sometimes we're just reacting because it's like a knee jerk thing. You did this to me, like that's not at the root of it. It's healing. At the root of it, there's freedom. So much freedom. Some people did not mean to hurt you, but they did. Some people, like Joseph's brothers, they meant to hurt you. It was their purpose. Threw him in the ditch, made up a whole lie, and then sold him into slavery. And now they come to Joseph and they need his help. But because he processed, he healed, and he released, he was actually able to not just help them, but help them without spite. Some of us help out of obligation. I don't like you like that, but I'm going to help you because God tells me I need to help you. That's not help. And that's not doing God's will. I don't really like you like that, but I'm going to do this because God says I need to do it, or I'm going to do this because you're my brother, or because you're my sister, or because you're my child. If that's really like, don't. Because what happens is now you're going to come back and hold it over my head. That's not God's work. That's not restoration. That's not healing. That's not it. We have to change our mindset. We have to change how we think about things. We do things because there's stuff that we want out of somebody else. I want to be able to hold something over your head. Don't you ever forget what I did for you. And if you did it for me from your heart, then why are you making me remember what you did? These are things as a people that we have to seriously recover from, because we have some traumas that we have to acknowledge. We have some traumas that we have to process, that we have to heal from, and we have to release. And family, we cannot release these things unless we do what we talked about last week. Give him all. ALL. It is a process that is hard. It is a process that is ugly. It is a process that is not fun at all. But when you get to the bottom of it, oh, it is so freeing. Because when that same person that comes back to you and needs your help, you don't even think twice. You don't even think like, oh, I remember what you did and you did this. That's not what we do. That's not how we do it. We say, yes, I'll help you. Yes, without a problem. And we don't even think about the things that they did, because guess what? I have processed, I have healed, I have released, and I have forgiven you. And guess what? When I forgive you, I don't have to hold it against you, because I'm done with it. The scripture says that when God forgives us, he forgets our sins as far as the east is from the west. They're gone. New day, clean slate. So what are we doing? What does this look like for us? This healing journey. It is something that we have to very seriously get through. Give ourselves grace, but give others grace too. Remembering that the root of restoration is healing. At the end of forgiveness, you are setting yourself free. I saw a quote saying that forgiveness it's something along the lines of true forgiveness is setting a prisoner free, and at the end of that, realizing you were the prisoner being set free. That's forgiveness. That's healing. Don't be bound to things that people have done. Don't cling to your hurt. Don't cling to your pain. We get scars. Scars will remind us of things that have happened, but they also remind you that if I can see it, I can heal and I can move on. If I can touch it and it doesn't hurt me anymore, it just lets me know that I'm still able to move on. I may never do whatever caused me to get that scar again. That's a boundary. But I'm able to heal. Forgiveness requires you to process what has been done. It requires you to heal with everything that you're going through and then release and let it go. At the end of it all, you will be free. So I want you today in this restoration room, I want you to practice something. Practice prayer. But in your prayer, I want you to practice asking God to help you to process, to heal, and to release. All week, till we come together next week, I just want you to process, heal, and release. Not everything is going to happen within these 7 days, but you need to come back to this restoration room free of some stuff because you've processed it. You're healing from it and you're releasing it and letting it go. The enemy wants us to hold on to things and be bound to them because what it does is it holds us. It becomes a weight that lets us go, that won't let us go. It keeps us down. But if you can forgive, you can process, you can release, and you can heal, you can't be held down. Create boundaries that are healthy, not bitter, and allow God to show you that what may have been meant for your evil may be meant for your detriment. That's the word, detriment. What may have been meant for your detriment may actually be something that is going to turn around and be so freeing for you. Man, this has been this journey, this healing journey it's not pretty. But I said this before, what surgery doesn't come with a little hurt. Surgery doesn't come with a little blood, a little gore. But if you continue to uncover the things that have been done to you, process them, heal from them, and then release them, you'll set yourself free, and the person that you're holding hostage will no longer have space in your heart. I wish I had more time. I gotta let y'all go. I can't hold you hostage. But process, heal, and release. Thank you so much for sitting with your heart today. Forgiveness, it's not an event. It's a process, okay? Don't ever forget that. Every time you choose peace over replaying the pain, you're healing. Give yourself grace as you grow. Never forget, this process is going to make you free. Next week in the restoration room, we're addressing something else. Many of you have felt it, but didn't have the words for it. It's called spiritual PTSD. That's post-traumatic stress syndrome. Ooh-wee. We'll talk about how trauma, especially from the church or faith environments, can affect how we worship, how we pray, and how we trust God again, and even trust people. We'll discuss how to recognize triggers, how to gently re-enter spiritual spaces without rushing, and how God renews our mind and hearts with patience and compassion. Romans chapter 12 and 2 reminds us, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, not the replacement, not the ignoring, but the renewal day by day. So make sure you're following us in the Restoration Room, the Restoration Room podcast. Okay, that's where you can find us. We're on Spotify, we're on Amazon Music, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on iHeartRadio. I see some of y'all following us on iHeartRadio. I'm loving it. And we're on YouTube as well. Follow each of our pages. We're on Facebook and we're on Instagram as well. But listen, we've got to get this word out. Don't hold this to yourself. So keep this for you. Let somebody else know. It's time to let go. It's time to process. It's time to heal. And it's time to release. Until next time, this is the Restoration Room, where you come in broken and you leave rebuilt. Good night.
Each episode blends real talk, biblical truth, and restorative insight. We give you the tools to rise above, recover,